It sounds like your father, from at least your podcast, that he's embracing this gray hair that he's got going on right now. You said he looks great.
He does.
So what silver-haired fox celebrity would you compare your father to?
God, I don't even.
And did you ever think the day would come when your dad would let himself see some gray hairs?
You know, I like to say Brad Pitt. I'm like very Brad Pitt of him. He's working out every day.
Is he an unrecognizable Todd Chrisley these days?
No, you know, I'd say he looks so good, and he's trying to make the best of the situation he's been given. My parents were always heavily involved in our lives. Like, there was never a night where I had to wonder, oh, is mom gonna come home tonight? Is dad gonna come home tonight? Like, it was always, we were always together, and they were very present, best parents ever. So it's tough now with the holidays. They're not gonna be here.
What are the plans to go and visit them?
You know, we haven't really figured it out yet, because this is the first holiday, so it's like, and they've said, they're like, my children are not spending their holidays visiting a prison. They're like, you're not doing that.
Have Grayson and Chloe gone to visit
Oh
them?
yeah, from the very beginning.
And pretty frequently?
Yep, every time I go, they go. And we're with each other 24/7. So anytime I go, they go, and they love it. They love going and visit and seeing mom and dad, and because you still, like, you get to hug, you get to talk, you still get to see each other. So we don't really know for the holidays yet how it's gonna play out.
How often are you speaking to your parents? Because they can't speak to each other,
No.
correct? So I would imagine you're the go-between.
Oh, yeah.
How do you relay the messages? Are they saying, tell your mama this, tell your papa this?
Oh yeah, yeah.
So how often do you speak to them, and how often are you relaying messages?
Oh, every day. Every day, twice a day, normally. Is when I speak to them, and it's always, please tell them I love them, like, please tell them I miss them. And so it's literally that every single time. And then I just go one weekend at mom's, one weekend at dad's, and we save the important stuff for in-person conversations.
Is there a part of you that has anger towards your parents? Because you wouldn't be in this predicament had they not made the decisions that they made.
Not at all. I was like, there is no anger, because I saw firsthand how corrupt our system can be. Like, I saw it firsthand. I was in it every single day, and now every single day of my life I deal with lawyers and looking over documents and trying to figure out what the next step is. And yeah, so there is no, if I wholeheartedly believed, all right, my parents did what they were convicted of, then of course I would have anger, because I would be like, how in the hell could you do this to me?
So you think your parents are innocent?
100%, 100%. And that's the thing, I've never spoken politically on anything, because in the world we live in, it's like, you're damned if you do, damned if you don't. Like, people will cancel you in a heartbeat. And so I've just tried to stay out of it, but now I'm like, you know what, it's my responsibility. Now I know. Like, I know better.
Well, they have gotten time shaved off of their sentences. So where are they now when it comes to maybe even more reduced time, the appeal?
Yeah.
What's the latest on that front?
So for a lot of people, that was like this big headline, and like my grandparents were calling me, they're like, what happened? Their time got reduced. And I was like, no. I was like, yes, it got reduced, but it was all under the law, under the First Step Act. It just gives these incarcerated individuals the opportunity to go in and take these classes. So it's for nonviolent offenders that can go in, do these things, and it shaves time off.
Gotcha.
Yeah. And so with the appeal, now we just wait. We're waiting on the appeals court to rule on how to move forward. Hopefully things go in our favor and they'll be home sooner than later, so.
Do you think they'll be home soon?
I know how hard I'm fighting, and so I hope and pray. Obviously nothing has gone in our favor whatsoever, so I just hope, literally every day, I'm just like, I pray for this panel of judges that looks over this appeal and sees all the errors that occurred within the court system. And so I'm hoping, and I in my heart of hearts believe they will, and if they are, it will be like the happiest day ever.
What are the odds that they'll be able to communicate with each other at some point in time?
I don't know. And that's the unfortunate part, is like, why can they not? You listen to everything anyway. So like, why can't they be on a phone together? And that's what's sad, is like, it tears everything. Like, it affects family members. It affects, just when you have an incarcerated individual, it's not just them. And also, it's been really tough since I've started speaking out about everything. That's been the toughest part, because more so for Dad, there's been a lot of retaliation. So we have to worry, all right, right now they're trying to move him from the facility he's at now because of the latest things that I've posted on Instagram. And that's the tough part, is the moment you start speaking out, you have to pay for it.
Well, does that make you want to kind of reel it in a little bit?
Not really.
But if it's going to impact his safety.
Yeah. No, he and I have had the discussion of, if his exact words were, if I have to be uncomfortable in order to hopefully implement and force change, then I'm willing to do it.
So what kind of things is he facing at the moment in this sense of retaliation?
Right now, it's, they're like not letting him set up legal calls. They're not, and which is a huge thing, because that's the way that it's a non-recorded phone call to where you can speak about the things that are happening to you, to your lawyer. Mm-hmm. They're not letting him do that. Just talking about stealing their food, for instance, their commissary completely out. And that's their way of retaliating against these men for speaking out, is they're literally going to starve them to death.
Are your mom's circumstances any better?
Her living conditions are terrible. Some of, in the male guards, they definitely speak down on the women. They make them feel like garbage. She and I had a conversation. She was like, I've just never been in a position that a man has spoken to me this way or made me feel just like a piece of garbage.
You have been outspoken about these issues and their living circumstances and situations within federal prison. But what has been the biggest or most unusual revelation about their lives behind bars?
I think it's just, it's just the same thing every single day. It's the same thing every single day that they're doing. But I think for me, it's you always heard, I want to say, who was it? Some journalist years ago said that, referred to my dad's facility as Camp Cupcake is what it was referred to. And I'm like, so you go into it looking federal system is so much better. It's basically it's not going to be terrible. You just go in, you do your time, and that's it. And when they got there, they realized how off that really was. How people are being treated. I like to say, when you go to prison, you're really signing up for a life sentence. You can't help what you don't know. And now I see it firsthand, and now I know. And when you see these government officials acting in ways that you do, it's all right, we have to stand up. We have to make a change. These men and women that are sitting in facilities that are, there's lead-based paint, there's black mold, there's asbestos, they're consuming food that says not for human consumption. You have guards that are abusing them. You have all these things that are happening, and I'm like, all right, now it's time to stand up. It's time to make a change.